This puzzle seems impossible to solve, but if you find the right sequences and understand this idea, it becomes relatively easy. So let me give you the summary of this puzzle. Black's about to promote to a queen, but okay, the easy way to stop this is get the bishop to block the square, but this pawn's in the way and the king's blocking a lot of these squares. We can't just go all the way around. That's just gonna take too many moves. We're only 2 moves away. So how are we gonna stop this? Well, if we move just a random king move, we don't want to do this because it just gives black a free move, and now we have to somehow move the bishop in a way to block the promotion in 1 move instead. So moving the king isn't going to work here. I'll give you guys I'll give you guys a couple seconds to pause or try to figure it out yourself. It might take some people a little bit longer than others, but hey, if you solve it, you solve it. So the first move here, we're gonna go over a couple wrong moves first. So people who thought bishop to b2 was the right move because we're attacking this pawn, well, this unfortunately does not work because the king can just go up to protect the pawn on d5, and now you're just really stuck here. The bishop can't go anywhere, and black's just going to promote. So we can't attack the pawn this way. Now, we're just going to try to attack the pawn the other way then, all right? Well, if we do this, same idea. We're just gonna try to protect the pawn with our king. If we move king to e5, there's a nice move here, which is pawn to e3. And if black takes, it becomes pretty easy. We just take with our bishop, and we're just gonna be guarding the square. And we're obviously gonna try to promote this pawn in the future, but we gotta stop this pawn from promoting. So that's a pretty good idea. But okay, there's another good move here too. We can move our bishop to b6. You might be thinking why? Well, there's a good move here. Okay, so black still has to move, like keep his king on this square to protect the pawn, right? So black's just gonna try to promote thinking he's all good. Because how is this bishop gonna get to this square to protect, or like look at the square to protect it? Well, we have a thing called a check here. You guys probably know what this check is. We slide over our bishop for a check. The king has to move out of the way, which is 1 move, and then we can get to this h2 square in the second move. So we're using the check to our advantage. You're basically forcing the king in a way where we can check him and have enough tempo to get to this pawn. It's pretty cool. But you might be thinking, okay, but black doesn't even have to go to e5. He's not going to run into a check if he just goes to d5. And while you are technically correct, here's a reason why it still works. So again, we don't want to move our king to protect the bishop because then the bishop's just stuck, right? We can't get our bishop to get to this square and have vision on it. So we're just gonna do the same idea as before. We're gonna move our bishop back to b6. And now black's just gonna march his pawn forward, thinking everything is fine. But we have a really cool move here. We play e4 check. Now we can en passant, right? Which he has every right. He can do that if he wants to. But it's not going to, like, if he does this, we're just gonna, he's take. And now we have vision on this pawn. It's not that difficult to see why this is not gonna work for black. So what's the alternative? Well, he only has 4 moves here, right? But he also has to protect his pawn. So realistically, he only has 1 move. So he's still forced to move to e5 here, and we run into that same idea again. Bishop to c7 check. King has to move. Doesn't really matter which way he moves, and we get enough time to move our bishop to h2 and guard this pawn trying to promote on g1. So to sum it up, the idea here is, all right, attack the pawn. Black tries to protect the pawn. And, okay, Black's like, we just move our bishop back. Because now this king is vulnerable to a check. We can skewer him if he doesn't move. But Black's going to move up, obviously. But even when this happens, we check. King moves wherever he wants to. And we slide over here. Same idea. You basically get another tempo on... The idea here is you get another tempo because you have to move your king when you're in check or remove the threat. So if you're able to do this, you don't really... It's having two moves is sort of like a misnomer. You have more moves if you force the king to be in check. So you basically can get it done in 3 moves. Or whatever moves you want to, as long as you're keeping that king in check. If you like this puzzle, leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.